Hey guys, it's Mana here, and we are back with more Seduce Me to the Demon War. Sorry I missed last week because I had a migraine, so I didn't sit down to record or anything. And then I spent the rest of the week just focusing on schoolwork. My work schedule has changed a lot. All of a sudden, I'm not getting as much time to sit down and work on classwork like I would like to, so I just focused on that every second of free time that I had. So, we are coming back to Seduce Me the Demon War, and when we last left off, we were training with Searo, with Katans? Yes, and preparing for the Demon War. So we're gonna jump back in and see what happens. Yay! I nodded. I had asked to be trained. If I wasn't ready then, I would never be. Searo crouched down, gripping his spear, before lunging for me, ready to skewer me on its blade. Oh! That one was timed. I focused on the spear and swiped one of the katans. I held at it, making both collide with the clash before forcing the spear to angle away from its target. I was shocked at his strength, as I only managed to push his weapon away with adrenaline. Okay, English good. Helping my own strength against him. Parry. Couldn't help but smirk as I stepped forward and practically backhanded his spear with the gauntlet of my katar, making it bounce away from my body and leaving his own body open for attack. I felt powerful as I readied to attack him. I lunged in and prepared to pierce him with my own attack. However, Searo moved his spear to cross his body, blocking my attack and pushing me back. I growled at myself for not seeing the strength of his defense. As I landed, though, I saw a small smirk on Searo's face. Was he proud of me, or was he mocking me? Either way, I used the momentum to lunge forward again, continuing our sparring match. We continued to train relentlessly throughout the day. Each break we had was small, but I understood why. I only had a week to learn how to fight after all. Time wasn't on our side when it came to me learning how to fight, or at least defend myself. As we finished a sparring session, and slowed to take another break, I let out a sigh. I was exhausted, but I knew I had to keep going. If the incubi were going to keep training, then I had to keep up as well. Searo let out a small sigh and stretched, wiping some sweat from the side of his brow before looking at me.
Let's take a break for now.
Yeah, good idea. I collapsed onto the floor on my rear and slouched over my crossed legs, thankful to no longer be on my feet. I thought Taekwondo was hard, but fighting with a weapon was proving itself even harder. I felt a little envious for people who were able to master weaponry.
I have to admit, I'm impressed. For the first time holding a weapon, you did pretty well. My lady had to train for months to try and use her weapon properly.
Ooh, awkward. Well, what does Diana use? I was curious about her. I knew she had magic, but did she really need a weapon? Of course, if her energy ran out, then she would need some sort of protection. Searo stared wide-eyed at me for a second, before smiling softly.
She uses a saber, a curved sword. While regular straight swords are good for piercing your opponent, curved blades are made for slashing and cutting your opponent down. They're a little difficult to maneuver without in-depth training.
Searo looked down at his hand, forming a saber with a black grip and a deep purple shade. It looked like a masterwork blade, despite it forming out of magic. As Searo stared at it, his smile brightened a bit.
A saber is much more graceful in combat than a regular sword. Anyone can wield it, but it takes a true master of the blade to use a saber properly and make a fight look like an elegant dance.
I see. I was in awe. I could see a soft shadow of adoration in his eyes as he spoke. Did he really adore his mistress that much? He seemed to really care for Diana. Searo looked at me with a chuckle.
I don't just care for my lady.
That was obvious. The way he spoke about her spoke volumes of his affection for her. As Searo looked at me, looked to me, same thing. A flash of realization washed over his eyes. What?
You're human, so you would understand.
Understand what?
Love.
I stared at him, knowing the meaning of the word, but not understanding what he meant by saying it. What about love?
Well...
For a moment, Searo looked back to the saber in his hand before shaking his head.
Never mind. It's nothing.
Nothing is always something. I wanted to ask more, but a pair of footsteps echoed through the room from the door, causing me to turn around to see who it was. Diana, lightly glistening with a thin layer of sweat and wiping her brow, stepped into the room with a smile. I could hear Searo's breath hitch softly as Diana walked in. She did a small hair toss, most likely to get some cool air behind her neck, before looking to her guard and my trainer.
How is training going?
Going fine, my lady. How are the airs?
They're strong, but not strong enough. At least not yet. It will take more time to get them up to par with where they need to be for the war. They've been in the human world for too long, and they've lost their sense of real battle.
In haste, Diana looked to me and held up her hand towards me, as if to ask for forgiveness. I can read, I swear.
No offense to you, of course.
No offense taken. I understood. The human world was vastly different from the demon world, so the boys had become humanized and softened. Still, I was sure that they would train hard and become better than the demon lord. Whoop! I accidentally clicked off the game. Come back!
Anyway, I was just taking a break and wanted to check in. Had to make sure you didn't kill our guest, Searo.
I would never!
Diana's laughter filled the room as Searo's face brightened to a hot pink tinge.
I'm merely joking. I trust you, Searo. Besides, she can take care of herself.
Taking butt and taking names. Diana looked to me with a nod and a smile as if she knew that I would be okay, at least in Searo's hands.
I'll leave you both be then. I'm sure that after we're finished training, your husband will want to replenish his energy, and it wouldn't do if you were still training here when he finishes.
With that, Diana turned and walked out of the room. Searo and I kept our eyes on her before I looked over to the suddenly love-struck guard. His eyes were glued to the door that Diana left from, almost unblinking. Searo. Finally, Searo snapped out of it and looked to me, blushing and wide-eyed.
Sorry. Where were we?
Training.
Training! Right. Let's go again.
In a complete reversal, Searo's expression hardened to a serious stare at me. I nodded, knowing that the break we had was over now. Once more, we trained and continued until dinner rolled around. As the soft echo of dinner-time bells reverberated through the halls of the castle, Searo and I went our separate ways, him to his lady, me to my bedroom. I fell onto my bed exhausted. My body felt completely at mercy of the fluffy mattress beneath me. Today was rough. Luckily, before I came back to the room, I had been shown bathrooms where I could relieve myself and bathe properly. At least hygiene wouldn't be an issue. I had bathed in crystal clear water before returning to my room and flopping into bed like a bum. I heard the door open and close, followed by the soft pattern of labored footsteps walking around the bed and stopping on the other side. I knew it was Eric, but I turned my head to verify my guess. I was correct. However, I felt my face flush at the sight. Eric was shirtless and his skin was beautifully covered in water droplets. His hair was damp and his breathing was labored. He must have trained hard, if not harder than me at least, and bathed right after. Hi.
Good evening, love.
I could tell that he wanted to flop onto the bed and simply pass out, but something held him back. I tilted my head at him, making Eric smile.
I'm going over what happened today.
And?
Do you feel disgusted by me?
I kept my eyes on Eric, letting my mind wander a bit over him. I still loved him, and I didn't feel the need to yell at him or push him away. I had to assume the spirit was still resting from Searo's attack. Nope. Eric nodded before climbing into bed and leaning back against the bedpost. Cuddle. Always cuddle. I settled close to him and placed my head on his shoulder. Eric smiled and wrapped his arm around me, holding me close.
It's been a long while since I've trained like that.
Since Malik's, right? Eric nodded with a smile at me. I remember Malik's, that damnable monster. He had wanted to kill the boys and even kidnapped me as bait. Luckily, he didn't last long. During the time he was around, though, Eric had trained hard and done the best he could. I was kind of proud to see him going at it again. I yawned and got ready for bed. There was no use in prolonging sleep. The darkness welcomed me into its embrace as Eric wrapped his arms around me protectively. Huh? The cries of the spirit vibrated through my mind. I knew Eric would take a bit to enter my dreams, but I could only look around as the sound of the spirit whimpered and echoed around me in the dark. Blech. Hello?
Go away!
I can't. This is my brain. Finally, the orb appeared. It wasn't bobbing up and down in the air like it usually had before. It was lying on the ground, like a ball. I walked over and crouched before sitting down in front of it. The sound of its whimpers made my heart hurt. Did Searo's attack really hurt it that badly? Even more than that, it was apparently a child.
No, you're not.
No, I kind of am. I winced a bit at its words. I was trying to be sincere, but I had to assume the spirit was too hurt to care.
Why did you do that?
Technically, I didn't do it. We just wanted to try and get you out of my body.
Why did you hurt me?
I didn't do it, so I didn't know it was gonna hurt. Every word the spirit spoke felt like a knife through my heart. I didn't mean to hurt it, but we had to try. I was certain the intention of the attack was to expel the spirit, not to hurt it.
You're just like him.
Like him? You mean Eric?
No. The evil man.
Evil man? I stared as the spirit gently lifted itself off the ground and began to slowly bob up and down in front of me.
The evil man that killed me.
Ah. That one. My body froze as I suddenly heard the demon lord's laughter all around me. The voice boomed through the air, sending wave upon wave of fear through my body in an endless cycle. However, the spirit didn't react. Was the spirit causing the voice? The spirit lowered itself back onto the ground and laid still, the purple aura around it still rippling around it. Okay.
You're gonna hurt me again.
No, I won't. I didn't want it to be hurt. Expelling it was one thing, causing it pain was another. There had to be some way to force it out without hurting it any more than we already did. I felt a hand suddenly place itself on my shoulder, and the demon lord's voice faded into silence. I quickly turned to see Eric, looking down at me with a concerned expression.
Are you all right?
Yeah, as good as I can be.
The icky man is back.
Yeah. Eric ignored the spirit and gently turned my body to face him.
Don't listen to whatever that spirit says. We'll expel it soon enough.
You don't care about her. You just care about babies.
You realize, spirit, that you are more than likely a baby. Ooh. I stared as, instinctively, Eric summoned his tendrils ready to attack, but his expression melted into concern. Something was holding him back, and it made me a bit worried. Was the spirit telling the truth? The spirit simply faded into the dark without continuing the conflict, leaving us alone. Eric?
Yes, my princess?
Do you want me to be pregnant? I had to know. He reacted so violently towards the spirit at the mention of children. Eric's face, however, contorted from the concern it melted into a look of confusion. Okay.
Where is this coming from?
I just want to know. Eric sighed and nodded, making a small lump in my stomach harden. You mean the baby? He really wanted me to be pregnant. Before I could speak, though, Eric raised his hand with a kind of and soft smile.
I would be happy to have you bear my children and for you to be a wonderful mother, but not unless you want to. You would be the one bearing the burden the longest.
Yeah, no kidding. My heart skipped multiple beats. I was shocked at his words. Eric continued.
In the demon world, it is a regular occurrence for incubi and succubi to breed as often as possible. It's only natural that I'd want children, Princess. However, you are a human, and even more so, you are the one I love. I obey your every command.
That's not how relationships work, Eric. Before my eyes, Eric slowly wrapped his arms around my form and kissed my forehead. The warmth of his embrace made my entire body melt, but I wrapped my arms around him in return.
We're not even married yet. We can probably wait until after we say our vows before we think about children.
A small laugh erupted from me as I nuzzled Eric's chest. He was right. We didn't have to think about it now. I shouldn't have let the idea get to me. Right. I nodded in reply, just wanting to completely immerse myself in Eric's arms. The night passed by and morning rose. To my surprise, I woke up alone. I scanned the room for Eric, but I found myself in the room by myself. Eric?
He left to go train with his brother,
Jesus,
sweetie.
Diana. I turned my head to the sound of Diana's voice. The door was open with Diana standing in the archway, holding a tray of pancakes. Pancakes! My stomach growled at the sight, but something in my heart felt digi as well at seeing Diana with food.
Here, something warm today.
Thank you. Diana passed me the plate as I began to eat. I knew that I had to work hard myself today, so I needed all the energy I could get. Diana, however, watched me as I ate. As her gaze got the better of my nerves, I looked at her with a confused look. What?
Do you know the child that's in your body?
I don't think so. I shook my head, making Diana press her lips together in an irritated line. I felt a little bad that I couldn't be of more help, but the spirit didn't have a name, at least not one I knew of. Diana shook her head and leaned against the wall, crossing her arms and legs.
Well, we'll be able to expel it soon enough. I have Shadow in charge of figuring out how to sever the ties that spirit has on your body and forcing it free.
My mind instantly froze. My memory brought up the image of the crying spirit and the tears that it wept as I had entered my dreams. Would this new method hurt the spirit? Yeah, we're gonna ask. Diana stared in shock at my question.
You're concerned for the spirit's safety over your own.
We really heard it last time. It was crying. Diana clicked her teeth and shook her head.
That spirit is clinging to you and using its emotions to make you feel sorry for it. It wants you to love it, so you will let it stay in your body.
I mean, that's generally what babies do. Was that really the case? A child who was hurt cries mostly when they are seriously hurting. But what if Diana was right? What if it was trying to manipulate me? There were too many questions in my head. I shook out my thoughts and continued to eat, finishing the pancakes. Diana pushed herself off the wall and began to leave the room, but stopped to look back at me with a concerned face.
Does the spirit ever enter your dreams?
All the time. You have no idea. Yeah, it does. Diana stared at me for a moment, most likely trying to form her thoughts into words before speaking. When she did, I couldn't stop myself from going wide-eyed.
You know, there is a way we can stop the spirit from communicating with you until we can expel it.
That doesn't sound like a good idea. I stared in shock. Why wasn't this brought up before? Diana grimaced at my expression inside.
The spirit is a child, and is most likely repulsed by romance and sex. Am I correct?
Oh boy. Yeah, but what does that have to do with stopping it?
The spirit is feeding on and using your energy. The only way to stop it is to drain yourself of energy.
But then I leave myself vulnerable to the demon lord. She wasn't serious, was she? She expected me to give Eric all of my energy, all of the time? What about my training? Diana turned fully to me and crossed her arms.
Essentially, after training, give your remaining energy to your fiancé. Kiss, hug, fuck, it doesn't matter. As long as your energy is completely drained. You'll sleep, and because you'll have no energy, The spirit won't be able to appear in your dreams. You'll have an empty sleep.
Made sense, but at the same time, I felt a little out of place. Eric needed my energy to survive, yes, but to give him all of my energy? Part of me felt a little excited to do it, while the other side of me felt like it was completely wrong to give energy for that reason. Diana shrugged, breaking my thoughts and making me give my full attention once again.
It's up to you. We should have the means to expel the spirit in a day or two.
Thank you. I was curious, however, why Diana was interested in helping me. She was already doing so much for me and the others by helping me get back to the human world. Before Diana could turn to leave, I stood up from the bed. Diana, why are you helping us with this anyway? Diana's gaze burned into mine as her expression softened. Something in her eyes showed a form of weakness, almost reflecting the eyes of an innocent child. What the?
You may not believe it, but I do actually enjoy aiding people. When I can, at least.
I could only stare at Diana in surprise. I could tell she was being genuine from the sound of her voice, and the look in her eyes made me feel somehow like crying. I mean, she only threatened to erase our memories at one point, so... For some reason, I found myself dropping my empty plate on the floor and rushing to Diana, hugging her tightly. Diana tensed within my arms and stared wide-eyed at me. I couldn't stop myself from hugging her body.
What the?
I wasn't in control of myself. What was going on? Help me!
Dear, what are you?
I didn't speak again. I wanted to, but I couldn't. Was the spirit in control again? Diana finally relaxed in my arms and wrapped her arms around my own form, petting over my hair gently.
How pitiful.
With each stroke, I felt anxiety wane and clear from my body. From where they came, I would never know, but I couldn't do anything but allow it to pass. Diana seemed to be some form of comfort for the spirit.
However you got into this body, we will free you, child.
What if, and this is just a theory, what if the child was one of Diana's? Like, they haven't said if Diana's ever had children, but it also said that incubi and succubi reproduce frequently. So what if the child was one of Diana's? Just a thought. I felt myself nod, however, I couldn't stop myself from feeling a strong energy pull from my body. Was Diana draining my energy? No, we gotta train. This wasn't right. I found some form of hold on my body and began to pull away, but Diana tightened her hold on me.
Just let me.
But I gotta train! If you take my energy, I can't train. I didn't have much choice. Even as I wanted to force Diana away, my body was too relaxed to allow the action to happen. As my body became weaker and weaker, the control of my body became more and more attainable. Finally, my body felt light and I found function in my nerves and limbs to function on my own coalition.
Are you yourself again?
Sure. Yes. Diana nodded before releasing me and looked down at me. To my surprise, her eyes were glowing a bright gold, probably from the energy she had taken from me. However, it had to be done for me to regain my body. Diana's eyes returned to their normal red color as she smiled.
For now, rest a bit. You'll be able to regain some energy and be able to train as if nothing had happened. As long as you're not brimming with it, the spirit shouldn't be able to take control of you again.
That's gonna be problematic. I nodded in reply, finding myself step back and slip back onto the bed behind me. I held my head, feeling slightly dizzy from the experience. The door opened and closed, so I assumed Diana had left me alone. My heart felt at peace for some reason, even feeling as weak as I did. Was the spirit appeased with Diana's intervention? Couldn't see why it would have been.
She's very special. That's why.
I'm gonna end it here. We'll come back and find out why Diana is so very special to this little child. But yeah, that's my theory, that that may have been one of her children. that the Demon Lord may have killed. I don't know. Makes sense to me. Who knows? As to how it got into our character, I have no idea. Because, oh, excuse me, it entered our character in the human world. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Kingdom Hearts comes out tomorrow. At least tomorrow from when this video is posted, and not tomorrow from when I'm recording it. Dang it. But comes up tomorrow. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. I pre-ordered Kingdom Hearts 3 and I can't wait to play it. I'm so excited. Ah! Airplane ears. So I'm logging off now so I can go continue geeking out about Kingdom Hearts 3. I am posting it on the channel. I thought about live streaming it, but it's probably just gonna be best smooth, Jiffy. It's probably just gonna be best for me to post it on the channel. Because I never know when I'm gonna live stream. So we'll see what happens. I'm so excited for Kingdom Hearts 3. I can't wait to see what happens. I've been waiting forever for this. So I'm logging off now. I'll see you guys later. And remember to do something nice for a stranger today. You may just save a life. Bye.
Say bye, Omni. Say bye. Say bye. You're like, put me down, crazy lady. Put me down. Okay, I put you down.